Hello and welcome to Investors Hangout. This weekly interaction to help you learn and understand savings and investment issues is brought to you by Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund and Value Research. Now, data shows that sector and thematic funds have been gaining popularity by the day. Of all the equity-oriented schemes and the NFOs, hybrid NFOs launched between January 2023 and March 2024, sector and thematic funds have gained among the highest inflows. So some of the most popular sectors have been manufacturing, defense of late, innovation, automotive, energy. So therein, let's try and understand why are such sectors and themes are gaining popularity, and if this is the time to invest in them. So first up, can you start by giving us an overview of why do you think they are gaining popularity?
They are gaining popularity because mutual market has been doing well. Market has done well, and if you dissect the market and take a small part of it and look at it independently, say oil and gas, or look at the manufacturing part, and you paint a story around it, you weave a story around it, or you just narrow the universe concentration, and if the market has done well and they have done little better, the case becomes much stronger. So what happens is in a market like this that we have seen in the last 2-3 years, it is very easy to present a case to investors that if you invest in a narrower set, you will do well because see how they have done. That's one. The other is that investors are excited about their mutual funds, about their investments. They have made money. They are sitting on profit. Investing becomes an easy thing when the going is good. As a consumer product, it is sold based on a story that, this is something which will happen. Look at the EV thing, or, look at the tourism fund that has been launched, or what will be the story that, okay, the India is going to prosper, more people will travel, and these companies will benefit. And all those companies, nothing prevents a general multi-cap fund, or a flexi-cap fund, or a larger mid-cap fund, or a mid-cap fund and a small-cap fund to be investing in those companies. Depending on which slot they fall into. But creating a product which can relate to people, when you tell a story, then you are able to take the discussion away from facts to something which people are able to strike a chord with. As the bull run gets older, more and more such stories will be hawked, investors will bite it. Until, I think many of them will have a very strong case. Many of them will have a very weak case, and only time will prove. But I still feel that, it is, even if investors are thoughtlessly investing in some of these funds or, investing a part of their money, it's fine because it's eventually a thematic fund. It might have some steam left, and anyway, it will be a diversified vehicle.
Okay. But, you've always said that sectoral and thematic funds, they are cyclical, they're highly volatile. So can you elaborate on some of the risks associated with these funds as compared to the more diversified equity funds?
No, one is that, these thematic funds could be little more diversified than a sectoral fund. Because when you are talking of a defense fund, it could be an aviation company, it could be a cable company, it could be a trucking company, it could be many other things or it could be, the companies like, electronics companies. So, it could be a variety of companies which may not necessarily be a particular sector. When you invest in a banking fund, then it is investing only in banks. Or you are investing in a pharma fund or a FMCG fund or a IT fund, then, Indian IT is IT services companies. So you have those 4, 5, 6, 7 businesses in which the fund will be investing. Here, being a thematic fund is somewhere in between. It is somewhere between a diversified fund and a sectoral fund. And the driver of that fund is actually the story. The story which may not be rooted in facts. The story will be rooted in in an emotional appeal. In a case that investors will be able to relate to. They will listen to that story, and they can relate to that story, and they will start believing in the potential of that story, and that is why they put their money. And many a times it has worked. When I look at old times, for example, the PSU fund, if you look at it, for many years they did not do well. And of late they have done well. And that is why we are witnessing more and more. So if you look at the PSU fund, it is a theme by ownership. We used to have, similar thing happening in the past. There used to be a MNC fund, or there are still a couple of MNC fund, multinational MNC fund. They were launched many years back, some 20 years back, on the premise that, multinationals have superior corporate governance, which was true in those days. I don't think it is as much valid today, but then some of those businesses still have a different kind of advantage in terms of access to technology, access to distribution, or professionally managed remotely by a company with a system and process without an Indian promoter. So sometimes, it turns out to be advantages, sometimes disadvantages, but some of these themes will stand the test of times and they hold promise.
All right. Now, going by the, excitement around these trending themes and sectors, what would be your advice to investors? Is there anything that they can do to mitigate the risks associated with them?
When investing in such a thematic fund, investors should recall what happened to PSU fund in the initial years, what happened to infrastructure funds. Initially, people made money, and thereafter, the wait was 10 years. Most investors can do without investing in a single of the fund, any fund, and they'll be fine. If you are investing your 10,000 rupee in a multi-cap fund and that is all that you can save and invest, you're fine. You don't have to do any of these things. In fact, less is more when it comes to investing. And being organized and being in the know of what you are doing. And there is a natural disadvantage when you invest in some of these funds, because these funds are getting launched at this point. NFOs are launched at a time when something has done well, and it is trying to capitalize on the momentum that it is riding or it is in the middle of. And normally it is a sign, or many a times there is a possibility that it will be followed by a lean time as well, because every part of the market is cyclical. They don't go up steadily like a nice smooth line as it has happened in the recent past. So one should be a little careful. Some of these stories will, pan out nicely over the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. But in terms of, are you deprived of any of these opportunities? No. The simple fund that you invest, where the fund manager has all the flexibility to invest wherever they want to, they'll be riding it.
Well, I hope that explains if you should be investing in these sectoral or thematic funds. That's all we have for you in today's episode. Keep watching this space for more information. If you like the show, do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Take care. Bye for now.